Welcome to this Tuesday video for our week of prayer and fasting. Thank you for joining in this week. Thank you for diving into this video. And I would love to hear what your experience has been thus far. If you want to share in the comments below, that would be great. If you want to send an email or contact us at the church office, we would love to hear how it is going for you. And maybe it's not been super smooth, and that's okay too. It's okay to be honest and real about how your week of prayer and fasting has gone. Today's prayer focus and the theme that we really want to intentionally, specifically dive into today is Jesus is sufficient for our church. This may seem like an obvious thing, but we want to pray specifically for three main points today. So the first one is that we want to pray that Jesus would unite us as a church. You know, one of Satan's primary goals is to divide the church, divide people because of their differences and let things come between them. And we know that that is something that he is actively trying to work towards, because then it kind of takes away our power to unite, and it takes away our ability to move and work together as the body that God created us to be. And so we don't want to ever let our differences divide us. But because of that, we want to intentionally pray specifically for those things. So what I want to encourage you to do is turn to Ephesians chapter 4, and I want to focus first on the verses 1 through 16. And I'm going to give you a bit of instruction here, and then I'm going to encourage you can either pause the video now and pray for this point, or you can incorporate this using the prayer guide in the time you have maybe set aside later today. And what I want to encourage you to do with this set of verses, this passage, is to pray specifically for our church in this way. And the kind of the most easiest and most natural way to do that is to take it verse by verse or sentence by sentence and put our church's name in the place of, like, say, the pronouns. So for example, the first verse talks about living a life being worthy of the calling that we have received. So I would say, Lord, I pray that we as Fort St. John Alliance Church would live lives worthy of what we have been called and the way we have been, that you have drawn us in, the way that you have specifically called us to be. And so that is a very specific prayer request for our church, and it's kind of the way you name us as the person you're praying for, the body that you're praying for. So you can go through the first 16 verses of chapter 4 and do that with all the different verses there. And so you can either, like I said, pause it right now, or you can incorporate that later in your time. Moving on to point 2, we as a church are called to, we have our vision statement, and it says this: we are called to grow to maturity in Christ through meaningful relationships. Believing that every person matters, we engage with Jesus on mission. And this is who we are. This is who we have been called to be in Fort St. John. This is who we set out to be when we make decisions. But sometimes it's hard, and I'll be honest and real as part of the leadership. Sometimes there's so many good things that we could do. There's so many things that we could engage with, so many activities and events that we could partake in. But ultimately, the question always comes back to, what are we being called to do as Fort St. John Alliance Church? And so for us in leadership specifically, it's the church staff, the board of elders, the ministry leaders. I want to encourage you to pray for them today, specifically Ephesians chapter 1, verse 17, that we would be able to be led by Jesus in all the decisions that we make. As church staff, as the board of elders, and the ministry leaders, that all the plans that are made in these groups of people would be made to fulfill the vision that we have been called to fulfill, that who we are is actually marked by what we do. And so that is the next prayer point. So again, you can take that kind of model from the first section there and use the Ephesians 1 verse 17 and specifically pray for the leadership of the church to be able to make wise decisions in light of who we are called to be. Moving on to point 3, in 1 Peter, we're going through a series in 1 Peter, and Pastor Caleb talked about it yesterday, that we are a chosen people. We are a holy priesthood. We are a holy nation, and a royal priesthood, and we belong to God. We are a people that belongs to God. That is who we are. And Christ in his sufficiency has given us all that we need to be this way in the times that we are living in. It is not for happen, chance, or accident that we live in the day and age that we do. And it's not an accident that we are part of this body of believers at this time as well. And so what I want to specifically encourage us to pray for this point is that we will have the courage to live what Christ has said in Mark 16, verses 15 to 18. So you would take that verse and again, apply it exactly the way you have the last two prayer points, specifically inserting our name in those verses, and pray that for us as a church, that we would have courage and boldness to be who God has called us to be in the times we are in. That we would not lose heart, that we would not give up, and that we would keep our eyes firmly fixed on him. So again, with all these points, you can go back and maybe watch them, pause them at appropriate times, or set aside the time specifically, maybe in your day, maybe it's over your lunch hour or in the evening as a family. You can do that and pray about these things specifically. And again, if you haven't already accessed our prayer and fasting guide, it is available on our church website, or it's on our Facebook page as well. And you can get the detailed themes for each day and the prayer points that correspond with those as well, and then a bit more information on what prayer and fasting looks like together. And again, I just want to remind you that we have a prayer service coming up tomorrow night, Wednesday, February 9th at 7 o'clock at the church. It is in person and will be live streamed as well, so you can join in those. So maybe even right now, go mark on your calendar. We would love to see you. We would love to have you join us online, and we look forward to a really great and powerful time of praying and uniting in this prayer service in this way. So God bless you today. We're praying for you as a staff during this time, because we know many of you are engaging in the prayer and fasting, and so we are praying for you even in these times. And so until next time, we'll talk to you soon.